And welcome back to the 2021 NESTBOX series, where we're following a pair of blue tits, Mindy and Mork. They have 6 chicks in the nest and they're doing really well in terms of feeding. All chicks seem to be lively and growing at a steady rate. In fact, the difference between them now and at the end of the video is huge, and that is only going to be 2 days' time. So make sure to look out for that difference at the end of the video. So on the 30th, the feeding started strong. Mindy and Mork were bringing in loads of food like usual. Things like caterpillars, insects, spiders, and also some fat from some fat balls that they must be finding in someone's garden. You can see some of that fat being brought in right now. Little do they know that the food they provided in their garden is being fed to 6 little chicks, entertaining people all across the world. I really do believe that technology is going to play a huge part in bringing nature into people's lives in the future. And my hope is that it will slowly bring people outside and to appreciate the nature that's around them. And it's just one of the reasons why I do what I do. But it's not all for the good of the people. I get a huge kick out of watching nature and telling the stories of them. I really do feel like we've so much to learn. But swinging back to Mindy and Mork now, and the food just keeps coming in, and these chicks seem to be ever hungrier. When I was watching this live, I was getting worried about that lip on the nest, but thankfully it never really poses a problem, but you can see it perk up every so often like that, and it's the chick underneath it hitting its head. But as these are a couple of warm days coming their way, they tend to try to get out of the nest cup as much as possible. They do this in an effort to cool down, but thankfully it gives us a better view of the chick's progress. And just look at this little wing. You can see the pin of the flight feathers on it just coming through. But still looking quite bald. Apart from the little tufts either side of their head. Mindy shows some questionable parenting. She actually ends up standing on the chick here in a minute. I don't really think she realizes what she's doing, as the chick is practically out of the nest. I think the chick was trying to cool down, and then this is just all by accident. While the chick looks a little uncomfortable, I don't think there's any real harm coming its way, as these blue tits are extremely light. In fact, an adult blue tit really only weighs about 10 grams. To put this into context, a €2 coin is 8.5 grams. Or if you're watching from America, $1 comes in at 8.1. So a blue tit is only just 2 grams heavier than that. And this is due to the makeup of their skeleton. It's extremely thin and hollow. Of course, this is a necessity, as these guys need to be able to fly. Just look at that progress in that chick. Growing every day. Just look at the breast of the chick that Mork feeds first. You can see that it actually has some yellow pigment on it, so their colour is already just starting to come in. These chicks are now the same age as the last chick of Biddy and Miley's. Thankfully, this nest is doing a whole lot better. With loads of food being brought in, and indeed plenty of fat from those feeders. But however, there still does seem to be some difference between the youngest chick's beaks and the largest, and that's normal enough, as there's nearly 2 whole days in the difference of their age. Quite a significant age gap where blue tit chicks are concerned. And just look at this little cheeky guy. actually trying to preen his newly formed feather pins. He has absolutely no business in preening yet. But it just goes to show they're obviously born with that habit. On the end of the 30th, we see one chick struggling with a bit of food. It's trying to get food either out of its mouth or swallowed, but it doesn't seem to be making any progress. Eventually, however, Mork to the rescue and manages to get it down. You can always tell when the chicks are hungry before feeding. Just look at this explosion of gaping. I always find that just gets more and more ferocious as the chicks grow. I've sped this up as this is Biddy bedding down. I thought I would show you her nighttime routine. It's getting harder and harder for her to settle in with the chicks, as the chicks are getting bigger and bigger and sometimes just want their heads poking out. And Biddy actually ends up sleeping outside of the nest cup, just to the side of it rather than in the nest. And the following morning, the chicks look even older again. In the early hours of the morning when it's cooler, they tend to stay snuggled up. And then as the day continues and gets warmer, they tend to try to spread out more. And we see another chick doing something that it has absolutely no business doing just yet. I'm pretty sure this chick tries to flap its wings. That little chick is way ahead of its time. And the 31st started like any other day. Plenty of food being brought in and the chicks being ever hungrier. Most of the chicks' eyes are pretty much still closed. Maybe the biggest chick have just the tiniest slits starting to open, but we should see some eyes open in the next couple of days. Right now they can probably only see light and shadow. And if you listen closely, they're starting to chirp more. I don't recall ever seeing a bird that has brought in more different species than Mork. He brings in spiders, he brings in houseflies, he brings in everything. And he's not afraid to take a helping hand. We see him bringing in some more of that fat that he's finding somewhere. I've noticed with the fat, they tend to share it out among the chicks. Something they can't really do with live prey. But you know what all this food means. That's right, you said it, another fecal sac. I'm going to show you another fecal sac now, but take the opportunity to look at the bird's feathers. The chick's feathers, that is. You can start to see some more yellow pigment on it. Just look. These little chicks are well on their way to turning into little blue tits. So as afternoon turned into evening, the day got warmer. And with it, the chicks started spreading out again to try to cool down. And that gives us an opportunity to really look at their progress of growth. You can see the top of their heads don't look as bald anymore. You can see they're starting to grow feathers there as well. And at the start of this video, their heads looked pretty much still bald. And it really never ceases to amaze me just how fast these little guys grow. And with it, their attitude. Just look how they ask for food now. These guys are getting cheekier by the day. And they're going into what I like to call the grumpy old man phase. And as I really do find, they really just look like little grumpy old men. But we can see here that all 6 are doing well. And by the end of the day, just look at the top chick when they explode looking for food. You can see the tiniest little eye just starting to open. I would guess that was the first chick to hatch. And as that brings us to the end of another video, just let's appreciate just how much these little guys have grown. They are really starting to become little birds. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.